So let's do our kind of Traitor, which is a John le Carré thriller directed by Susanna White, who made, I think, Nanny McPhee Returns. Script by Hussein Amini, who's of course a brilliant screenwriter, and shot by Anthony Dodmantle, who Anthony Dodmantle is one of those sort of signature cinematographers. Somebody who sometimes when you're watching a film and there's a visual style to it, and you go, that, okay, that's a film that shows. So it's shot by Anthony Dodmantle. He's a really, really sort of, versatile and very, very, very inventive cinematographer, and make sure that everything looks interesting, even sometimes when the narrative seems a little bit pedestrian. So the story is Ewan McGregor and Amy Harris are a couple holidaying together in Morocco. Their marriage seems to be in some kind of crisis. They meet in a bar, Stellan Skarsgård, who's playing this very big, very kind of, what's the word, garrulous, loud, I don't mean garrulous, don't I? Garrulous Russian mafioso who catches Ewan McGregor's eye and says, come and have a drink with us. Come, drink this expensive wine. Now come to a party with me. He says it in a Russian accent, but I'm not going to do Stellan Skarsgård doing a Russian accent. And he takes him to this incredibly extravagant party where McGregor feels completely out of his depth. He's a lecturer. And then, as they're sort of over the course of the next day or so, it becomes clear that Skarsgård actually is in some kind of danger. In fact, he believes that his entire family is in danger because of a fundamental power shift that's happened back at home. And he wants Ewan McGregor to take something back home to the UK for him. He says, all you do is you take this, and when you arrive in the UK, you hand it over to the authorities, and they will know what to do with it. Of course, what they do is take Ewan aside and have a stern word with him.
I said I didn't want my wife involved.
I'm sorry, would you like to wait outside?
Involved in what?
I brought something over for Dima.
What?
I don't know.
Perhaps you'd like to sit down. I have some questions. Not tough, medium soft. Is this all he gave you?
Yeah.
Didn't offer you any money?
Oh, he did, but I refused.
Then why did you bring it?
I thought it was the right thing to do. He said that his children would be killed if I didn't.
You believed him?
He seemed scared.
He told you he was a member of the Russian Mafia. And you still agreed to help him. You haven't checked the contents of the memory stick.
No, I thought I could just hand it over and be done with it. I thought that would be it,
Turns out that what he's given them is basically information on dirty money that looks like it's going to be laundered through a new bank which is being set up here in London, but with the help of corrupt MPs. And Damian Lewis, who you heard there, has got his own...
He was sounding a little bit like Jonathan Pryce.
It was, wasn't he? I love that thing. Not hard, medium soft.
And in that dialogue, I was also expecting Ewan, when asked, well, why did you bring it over then? Yeah. To which the answer is, it's Stellan Skarsgård, because you're not going to say no.
That's right. And believe me, you're not going to say no. So anyway, Damian Lewis's character has very specific reasons for wanting to pursue this particular angle. But Mark Gatiss is the superior who turns him down, says, you can't, no, we're not doing this, we're not going there, we're not going near those MPs, we haven't got enough stuff. But of course, what he decides to do is to go it alone. And so begins a sort of an undercover operation in order to negotiate some kind of deal with Stellan Skarsgård's Russian mafiosi. Because everyone can say, why do we trust him? Why do we trust him? The guy's a criminal. Why should we trust him? And during the course of this, Ewan McGregor, having thought that what he could do is just hand the thing over, discovers that, in fact, there is more to it than that. What he has to do involves him and his wife, who is a lawyer, played by Naomi Harris rather brilliantly, getting more and more involved in the unfolding negotiations. It was an interesting thing because I knew nothing about the story beforehand, and I went in to see it thinking, okay, it might be okay. And about halfway through, I suddenly thought, actually, I'm really gripped by this, and it had sneaked up on me a little bit. Because at the beginning, when there's sort of setup and everything, you think, well, it's fairly broad strokes, but it really started to get under my skin to the point that as we built towards the sort of the thriller climax, I was doing exactly that thing that you're meant to do in thrillers, which go, what's going to happen? Are they going to be okay? Is that going to happen? Is the thing going to, and that, so weirdly enough, having gone in, I said, with really no sort of expectations, other than the fact that, it's made by a good filmmaker and it has a very, very solid cast, who knew how it was going to work out? Anthony Dodmantle has great fun with the locations, and you're constantly looking at things through water and glass and reflective surfaces. And there was one moment where there was a sequence of nothing particularly wild was happening in it, but I looked at it and kind of thought, wow, you've really gone out of your way to make that shot interesting. There is a great sort of set piece in the Einstein Museum, which kind of nods towards. I would say nods towards Wells and to some extent towards Hitchcock and that kind of thing. But the whole thing was surprisingly gripping and engaging in a sort of oddly modern, good old-fashioned thriller kind of way. And I thought McGregor was very good. And Skarsgård was Skarsgård. He basically does no wrong as far as I'm concerned. I mean, I would actually sit and watch him reading the phone book.